Well, hello, Sheriff Hash. How are you doing today?
Well, it's a great day here at the office.
Okay. So I am excited to be here with you today so that we
Absolutely.
can talk about the annual report for fiscal year 23-24.
Absolutely. And so a lot of my citizens, some know and some of them don't know
Right.
that the Roanoke City Sheriff's Office do a annual report where the report simply talks about what has taken place in the agency over the last year.
Absolutely.
It covers everything from budget to processes in every one of our divisions to leadership stuff,
Right.
new projects that
Right.
we take on to recruitment to
Everything.
literally everything, community engagement,
Everything.
employee training.
Mhm.
And so it covers a lot. And so my thoughts were, again, we make it we post it so everybody can see it. But I thought, why not do a podcast so that way we can have those conversations and be able to share with our citizens what's directly
Absolutely.
inside our
I agree with
annual
that.
report.
A deep dive because, sometimes people just, they look at the pictures and let's just be honest, right? But to really give them the background behind it.
I agree. So, first, let me just jump into it. I appreciate the men and women who work for Roanoke City Sheriff's Office. Annual reports can be done unless we have committed people,
Mhm.
and so that's why we have information to put into our annual reports because of that. So, the first thing on the list is budget.
Everybody want to know what you're doing with the money.
Everybody want to know. Let me just say, over the last 3 years into our fourth year in this position, we have maximized our budget to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Still in a position where we were still in a place where we can still give back in some capacity to the city of Roanoke or to the state. Um, they use the terminology that if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
And so we take care of the men and women who work here. We take care of those in our custody. We take care of our community at large. But again, we want to be good stewards over taxpayers' money. And
Absolutely.
so that's one of my responsibilities. You trust me as the sheriff. And so $24 million, 24, 658, 687 cents, right?
Right. It seems like a lot, but really, when you get to divvying it up.
Right.
Right.
So it's a lot of money. So $24 million is a lot of money. That comes from the state budget that we receive. And then that's, again, in partnership with the city's budget. So I'm forever grateful for that great partnership. Part of the budget that we received this last fiscal year was talking about some of the renovations that we had in the building. Anything renovations, the city, because of their great partnership, we have to make sure that a lot of things are done around our agency. And so, as you all know, you can look in the report. Our control rooms, a lot of our stuff was so antiquated where it needed to be updated. We're responsible for, making sure that the security, the facility is secured
At all times.
at all times.
Right.
So it's our responsibility to make sure that we have the systems in place, the technology in place to support that. And so we literally put new systems into our main controls, annex controls. So kudos to our IT team and then the city of Roanoke, and then some of our outside providers, vendors who help make this possible. Big shout out to the city of Roanoke. We put a new Sally port in.
Yes.
So we work well with the ACM, the assistant city manager, that team over there to make sure that our Sally ports were done. Let me tell you, Deb, when you pull up at the facility, I know the detention center don't supposed to look glamorous, right? They coming into custody is not, but to look at the security level now at our Sally port, you just can't look through the gate and just see now it's secured where people can't just sit on the outside and know what's going on in the security setting. So that was good as well.
I agree. And so let me say this as a someone from the professional side. We have visited multiple localities, right?
Correct.
And so when we have walked in and looked at their Sally port, I have been like, oh my God, is this what it's supposed to look like? Just being honest.
That is correct.
And to come back here and now have ours done, I'll say, okay, we looking legit now.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a good professional. That's the way that it should.
Absolutely. And the city, we work well with them and the overhead doors to get the doors put in. They won the procurement process of that. And so great partnership with them. But our services team to put the seal on it,
Yes.
they came down and put the yellow paint down and the arrows down and all that good stuff. So it was a real good look. So I'm very appreciative of that process again. Just, making sure that we have the things that we need as an agency to make sure that best practices are done. And so I'm grateful for that. In budget, we had a chance to talk about body armor. The men and women who work for our agency, they go out every day in the field working. And so we want to make sure they're protected. And so part of the money or funds was making sure that our team had body armor. Again, we were dealing with the post-pandemic. And so even though some people were saying the pandemic was over, we were still dealing with people, best practices or protocols. People will not, when we stopped testing them and then they start coming in the facility and people were sick, we were putting them up in the housing units and then other individuals got sick. So we had to go back to our original protocols, testing everybody who came in. But with those protocols, once the government says it's no longer a pandemic, who's responsible for budget at that moment to pay for those supplies?
Absolutely.
So we had to allocate funds back for that just to make sure we had ample or adequate supplies in the building to support that. Because of safety reasons, with the increase of arrest in the building, the police department get a lot of the gangs off the streets.
But they got to go somewhere.
But they have to go somewhere. And so what happens is they come into our facility, we receive them, we process them in. The problem is that because of housing space, you don't know who's against who. And so with that, for safety reasons, we had to implement our DART team. And the DART team is those individuals who respond to those crises in the building. So we call them our detention assessment and response team. Okay? So when we have crises in the building, they respond. That has gone well in the building as well. And then our booking process, making sure that our booking center was updated, because a lot of times you come in, you walk into a building, if it don't look right, it don't look welcoming, which is, detention center shouldn't look welcoming, but it should still look clean, professional, things like that. And so they come in, we have made sure that the processes downstairs look good, the place is clean, making sure that our staff are well trained in those processes. So that was real good for our agency. Again, with the upgrades in the building, we got this where we giving body cams. Body cams are very important. A lot of people don't like body cams because you telling on me, but
it's all about safety.
It's safety. And so what I like about the body cams is that with the agency standpoint, what it does, it shows a sense of transparency.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not saying that our deputies are wrong, but they're out here doing their jobs day to day. And so my job is to protect them as well.
Absolutely.
And so if anybody called, there's a complaint or whatever, the first thing I go to is the body cam. And if the body cam is in a good place, we have those conversations. But I like it because it protects them in the field as well. And it gives them somebody who can advocate on their behalf as well.
Absolutely.
So we put body cams in place. Again, just making sure that the facility it looks nice. We work with the city of Roanoke on the kitchen. Have you seen the kitchen project?
Oh my goodness. I walked in. I said, wait a minute. Totally different than what it was. Yeah.
If you walked in our facility before, we passed all of our health standards with VDH. And then those entities coming in, the health department, things like that. But it was time for a major overhaul of the kitchen. Let me just tell you, the partnership with the city of Roanoke, they came and put the new floors down.
I saw.
The walk-in freezer needed to be replaced because it wasn't keeping food at the right temperature. And it's the new sinks put in. The sinks was falling apart. So again, the major overhaul of the kitchen was a part of budget, city budget as well. So we got that done. So a big shout out to the city of Roanoke and their partnership on making those things happen.
And it went pretty quick. I'm gonna be honest.
It was quick, but you always run into those roadblocks. Right. Let me just say, partnership with the county was well.
Yes.
Partnership with Leap Kitchen went well. I'm speaking on those people because they made these processes easy. And so I'm appreciative of that. So thank you to our partners who made that happen for us. I'm forever indebted.
Absolutely.
Quick shout out to the men and women who work intake.
Yes.
Working intake and classifications, they receive a lot of people into our building. And a lot of people come in, they get arrested, they don't want to be here.
Well, who would, right?
And so you're taking somebody's freedom away. Well, we're not taking, you did something
to
cause your freedom to be taken away from you. And so now they have to come into our detention center, and they're down there with our men and women who run intake and classifications. We process 4,499 people in the last fiscal year.
That's
a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
And in those processes, we classified 2,132 people,
Okay.
which means these individuals were not allowed bond to get out. And so because of that, they had to stay in our custody. 2,132 people stayed here in our facility last year for whatever reason or amount of time. So that has taken place. So big shout out to the men and women who work in those particular areas. Our property guy, who change them over to medical, who supports and get them checked within 4 hours of being in our custody. So partnership is everything. So I'm forever grateful for that. A big shout out to the men and women who graduate from the academy twice a year. Let me just say, it is a good feeling to know that we have people who appreciate those processes of coming into a facility, joining our agency, but knowing they have to be certified. And just to see them go through the academy and the smile on their faces once they get pinned by their families and walk across the stage, it's a beautiful thing. And so kudos to our Roanoke Sheriff's Office, who our pre-academy team.
So that's what I was going to talk about. Let me tell you. So I will say, if I can say it, that team is a beast, right? They say you're going to get out here and we're going to train and we are not going to let you fail. And I think that has a huge impact on those folks that are going to the academy. And I think it also, you want to be accountable for yourself, but you also don't want to let down those folks that put so much into you.
I agree. And so to Chief of Staff Murphy, to Corporal McCray, and to Sergeant Whiteside, Sergeant Jones, to anybody who show up to help them through those processes, thank you. I went out there a couple of times. I run one.
I saw you trying to keep up with them. Trying to keep.
I tell them all the time, I ain't gonna let you outrun me though. I ain't gonna let you outrun me. No. I was gasping for air, circling the block to come back. But
I said I was gonna go one time. I saw them go down the street. I said, yeah,
it's always good. But I appreciate them. What we start doing is running in our communities, running downtown, and because the citizens ought to see that this is our next generation of people who are coming through. So I'm forever indebted to that. So shout out to all of those people.
Yeah.
This is big to me. Programs is big to me. I'm in the facility. My motto here at the Sheriff's Office: how do you want me to return your neighbor back to you? Broken the way we found them, or rehabilitated so they can be thriving citizens in our community. And because of that, we have partnered with the National Sheriff's Association over the last 3 years. So this happened in 2022, and so in September.
Yeah.
And so for the last 3 years, we have partnered with them, Genesee County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Swanson, to launch I.G.N.I.T.E, which means residents individually growing naturally and intentionally through education. And so education is real big, because if a lot of the reason why people go out here and commit crimes is because they don't have the means or the resources, can't read, can't write, can't do the fundamental things that they should know, which sometimes land them out here to offend or cause harm on somebody else. And so our goal is to get them educated.
Well, and so what I like about it as well is that education is not just from a scholastic standpoint.
That's right.
But educating yourself and understanding why you've done some of the things that you've done. So like our trauma classes, so substance abuse classes, mental health classes.
That's right.
I think that that's a huge part of the educational piece as well.
Yeah, with the uptick of individuals in our community who are dealing with mental health. Mental health is big. I appreciate the city of Roanoke and our chief of police, and the homicides and stuff are down in our community. But what we're seeing is the increase of those individuals with mental health.
Absolutely.
And so our partnership with Blue Ridge Behavioral Health, CI.T, getting our deputies CI.T certified, so that way when they open up their new facility here in a couple of weeks, that we can continue to support and get those individuals some help.
Right.
And then help themselves, because a lot of times they don't have the means to help themselves.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about the behavior health program that we have, the faith-based program, substance abuse, discharge plan, and reentry, and the educational. Let me tell you, the two Jennifers are a powerhouse.
They are. Yes, they are.
They are good team, and I appreciate them, from the resident newsletter over to the newsletter we put out, to the library services that we do, the digital library services, or just getting resources back to them for getting your GED or just getting you help
Yep.
is important to our agency and our community. So again, when you look at substance abuse programs, they had a total of 1,037 hours that they put in that particular program. And so again, we appreciate that people participate in the programs, graduate,
And they're happy to
and
participate.
they're happy to
Yes,
participate.
yes.
From reentry, we had 114 reentry hours, and so that is important
Mhm.
to be able to support them with that. So reentry is important because those who are transitioning, what is your plan?
Absolutely.
What is your goal? You know, and if you don't have a plan, you're gonna fall back to what brought you back through the first time. And so having a plan is important. I'm appreciative of TAP, Pathway to Homes. And so their team came in, worked with our residents in the building for 382 hours of time that they spent with them, giving them resources and services. And so that's good. I'm grateful for from Roanoke College.
Yes,
The
the
Inside Out.
Out. Yeah.
Listen, while you here, you know, they go to federal prison, get a degree.
Mhm.
They go to DOC and they get some type of trade at DOC and things like that. So why not at the local level, those people returning back to our communities,
Absolutely.
why not get them some services? And so again, Inside Out, they do a 40-hour course. So they come in here, get individuals to participate. Once they graduate, once they get those hours, then they're in a good place at that point.
And that's Roanoke College, correct?
Roanoke College.
Okay.
And they come in, they bring their educators and students in, students that don't
Right,
know
right.
the history of those incarcerated. They bring them up to speed so quickly, and then they end up merging the two together so they can learn their processes of being locked up and then the process of from the educational level
Right,
or
right,
college level. So it's
right.
always a plus. So
Right.
appreciative of that. And again, with our partner with NAVCare,
Yes.
they give us an individual for discharge planning. We had a period, a series of hours, 414 hours that they put together for discharge planning. So for that, I am grateful for all partners in the building who make partnership happen, from our Ms. Randall and Chris Pagan,
Yeah,
for behavior
yeah.
specialists in the building, to Lieutenant Sabanovic and Corporal Duffy for making it happen. Listen, you can't do service like this unless you got committed people. So I am forever grateful for them. All about community partners from the outside who help make things happen. I'm not gonna say names, but just know, if you give a service back to this agency, whatever religious background that you come in here and support us with, thank you for your services. And so again, it's beautiful to see that we're graduating people from programs. You know, one quick story: I was in the program not too long ago, and a guy graduated from GED,
Okay.
and he said, "My kids had never seen me with a certificate in my hand, a graduation cap on my head, or a robe on my back." He said, "To take this picture, even though I'm going to prison,
Right.
and I'm about to do some time."
Right.
He said, "The fact that my kids get to see me,
A positive
a
image.
positive image of me,
Yep.
cap and gown, diploma in your hand, it did my heart well." We printed out the picture, we mailed it to the family and care of his kids so they can see something positive. People make mistakes, and making a mistake means they pay their debt to society, which means they do their time.
Right.
Once they get out, they deserve an opportunity to thrive again for a second chance. Unfortunately, some people need a third and a fourth,
Absolutely.
and that's society, and I think we give that to them.
But that's why we're
But
here.
the moment that they keep trying,
Right.
that we keep supporting them. So shout out to all of those who support us and do all those great things for our facilities. So I'm again excited about that. In our court division, I'm grateful for Major McDaniel and Captain Muse for working on that side of the house.
Right.
They do great services. As you all know, we run 3 different floors in our courthouse: Circuit Court, we run General District, and we run J&D, which is Juvenile and Domestic and Relations Court. Some people say, when you say J&D, they don't know what you mean when you say J&D, but it's Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court. Anything that deals with the family. And so that's that. Downstairs in court, in J&D, they had 495 cases in J&D.
Wow.
That's a lot of cases.
That is a lot.
Down to General District, 648, and then Circuit Court, 632 cases.
That
is a lot of cases, people, family members coming in and out of the courthouse. So we're forever grateful.
Let me ask you a question, because this is a question that we get. Jury duty, right? We are responsible for sending out the letters for jury duty. Is that correct?
It is correct. So we have an automated system who generates those hearings or those individuals to ask them to come in and support jury duty.
Okay.
So it's not the sheriff just
That's
randomly.
that's why I want you to speak on it, because people say the sheriff picked me. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
So it's an automated system who generates names of those individuals who are upstanding citizens who do what they're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis. Once the system generates it, it sends it out and says you've been cordially invited
Right.
to participate on
Right.
jury duty. But it is your civic duty.
Absolutely. Thank
So
you.
it's your duty
Mhm.
to participate in jury duty.
Mhm.
Once you come into the courthouse, the judge talks to you. They do jury selection. If you're selected, then you are served
Mhm.
on that particular panel. I just want to say thank you to our citizens because again, you could get frustrated. You could say, "I'm not coming," but because you understand that this is a part of our responsibility as a community, thank you for showing up. On behalf of our agency, we have made things take place in court at a better pace to where
Yes.
courts can hold more cases because we have the digital means of doing it now. So during the pandemic, we put cameras up everywhere. We wasn't going jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
Right.
We wasn't going getting in our vans because of things like that. And so we put cameras up. Thankful for our partnership with those in courts and the Supreme Court. They helped us to purchase those cameras to put downstairs in our court holding.
Right.
But as an agency, we put the walls up with partnership with budget to make sure that we had 3 new cubicles downstairs at court holding. So each courtroom or court level can be notified downstairs if they want to do a remote case in the morning time. So all 3 courtrooms are now functioning from a safety standpoint. So we don't have to take people upstairs in the morning doing arraignments.
Okay.
It's all been done from downstairs. And so I'm appreciative of that new equipment we put in. That was year 1 that we made that happen. That is correct.
Right.
We heard the judges talk to us and say what the need was. And I agree. If you can keep people out of court, they sometimes are combative, but just put them on video so that way they can still talk. And the safety and security come from everybody. That's the resident, our deputies at large as well. So that's important to us. Another takeaway from the courthouse is that we had our annual training in the courthouse.
Yes.
For the emergency preparedness training that we put over there.
Yep.
That class, that training always go well for our deputies. Instead of some holidays when we can find that time to train, instead of them being off all day, they'll be off. They'll come in and work 4 hours, and then we use that training opportunity to be able to do some training in the courthouse.
Right.
Because you want to always be prepared for the emergency situation. And so I appreciate our executive and command staff for working with my office to make sure that the men and women over there are prepared for crisis. So I'm appreciative of that. So thank you and kudos to those individuals. As you all know, since being the sheriff, we sat down as our executive team and we realized some of the deficiencies that we had from day one.
Right.
One of those is making sure that every person, when they came to the door, they were trained correctly. And so we started our onboard processing.
Right.
And then so on behalf of Dr. King and those who work in our onboarding side, they put together a presentation to give them a 2-day onboarding process. This is for our sworn staff.
Right.
And this is those individuals or non-sworn or volunteers. And so they come in, we give them the same information. We walk them through policies and procedures.
Conformity and consistency.
It's everything we ask for. And so at this point, that's important.
Right.
And so we then as a staff, we get a chance to go over to greet those individuals when they come in for the onboarding process. And that way they can see videos of us.
Right.
They can hear from us directly what the expectations are.
Yeah.
And it's always good. And so I'm appreciative of all of our staff showing up on those Tuesdays that make it happen. I'm thankful for that. So again, we new volunteer classes are always volunteers. So that could be clergy volunteer, program volunteers, those working in community engagement, our contract workers who come in the building have to go through volunteer services because you think about HIPAA, the OSHA, so they do security. And so again, anybody who was around our residents have to go through PREA training.
Right.
So that's Prison Rape Elimination Act. So I'm excited about the processes about onboarding. So thank you to that team who does that. The next part is professional standards unit. I am excited about this unit.
This is how we keep going, right?
So this is always a plus because As you all know, when I became the sheriff of Roanoke City, there was accreditations that we have to keep.
Absolutely.
The one that we had to keep, which is not a volunteer, but you are voluntold, that's the Department of Corrections.
Yep.
And the Board of Local
DLC.
and Regional Jails.
Yep.
They govern what we do here at the agency because we keep people in our custody.
Mhm.
And so they have mandates or standards that we have to meet. And so there's no ifs and buts about it. They come in, they do surprise visits, they do their annual audits, and they do a 3-year audit as well. And so again, we respect their territory. And again, it's almost like lean on me, Joe Clark. You'll never know when they come and take the chains off the doors. They here, right?
Right.
And so my team know when they say DOC here, we are on the phone making our people aware because we respect who they are as individuals. We, like I tell them all the time, show up when you want to.
Right.
We are a transparent agency.
Right.
If we make a mistake, I'm clear to say we made a mistake. But when we right, I'm clear to say we are right.
Absolutely. I will say that.
I
love that you will stand up for what you know that you know that you know. And so that you're not just going along with because a statement is made. And so that I think that makes the people that work for you really feel good.
That's right.
Especially, we've had various audits. So you are always someone that says you're responsible for this, but we're all responsible for this.
That is correct.
And whatever I'm asking of you is what I'm not asking any more of you than what I'm asking of myself.
That is correct.
So
I like it because again, accreditations is not about the accreditation team.
right.
I was in accreditation with Sergeant Williams at the time, and accreditation was just not. It was made to feel like he was responsible for all of accreditation.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the accreditation holds the department accountable because they just the management of the paperwork and the files and policies. But it's the individuals around your agencies
Absolutely.
who do the work,
Right.
who document and then get it back to them.
Right.
And if they're not in a good place and they're not familiar or aware of the situation, then who do you hold? It's accountability is everybody.
Right.
And because we were accountable as an agency, let me just be the first to say that our accreditation team went after the reaccreditation for epilepsy.
Yeah.
In 2021, we lost the epilepsy accreditation. Wasn't frustrated. Things happen. And so I said to them as a team, this is something that we have to get back.
Right.
Because epilepsy is what holds our law enforcement division accountable for the things that we should be doing.
Right.
Yes, we have the law, but that extra accountability is always a plus.
Right.
So epilepsy stands for the Virginia Law Enforcement Professional Standards Commission. And because of that and their due diligence, we were able to secure our accreditation back. And so a huge shout out to our accreditation team in 2023.
Yeah.
It was tough, operating without it. But let me tell you, just to see the look on their faces before the commission, when the commission all voted on our agency getting it back, I was very appreciative of that. And because of our due diligence, I went before the commission and asked to join the commission because I want to make sure that other agencies that was in the same position as ours have that extra support. So now I serve on the commission for epilepsy.
Okay.
I said it with a smile on my face. So I serve. Listen, you may be set back in some instances, but setbacks are sometimes grateful for comebacks.
You got to go through.
And you got to go through something to get that comeback. And so I'm forever grateful for that. So we did Department of Corrections, we did epilepsy, we had our ACA audit, which is the American Association of American Correction Association. I'm sorry. So the American Correction Association, ACA, is what governs our house as well with DOC. Those are standards that we have to adhere to, showers, haircuts, food, visitation, life, health, safety standards that we have to make sure we govern us as an agency. So we were able to pass that audit as well. So kudos to our team for that. We just went after our NCCAC.
We sure did.
We sure did.
We did.
Yeah. So the National Commission of Corrections and Healthcare. So kudos to NAFCare, who led the charge on that as partners with that. And so we just had that meeting, found 2 deficiencies, which wasn't bad deficiencies, but things that we could improve on.
Right.
Before they left our campus, we automatically put together a plan to fix those 2 issues, which were minor issues, but could potentially become something huge if we didn't fix it. We fixed it. The report was good when they left. Two minor things, and so again, because of the due diligence of our team, we were able to fix those issues. And so we are looking for a favorable report from the NCCXC Commission and be accountable. And so I'm appreciative of that. Again, you know, men and women who work for our agency, that is why we are always recruiting good people to work for us.
Absolutely.
And if you don't go out here and find the best of the best to work for your agency, you can't operate in excellence.
Absolutely.
And so a big shout out to our recruitment team who work tirelessly behind the scene to make sure that we got adequate people who are well prepared and ready to go forward to work for our agency. They do all kind of special events.
Yep.
They show up in your communities,
Yeah.
job fairs,
Yep.
church events, community events. So a shout out to them and their recruitment efforts. And so again, just want to say thank you to them. Our law enforcement division, people don't know about that, but our law enforcement division, we started that division under my leadership.
Well,
And that's because we had over 90 people who are law enforcement certified. I wanted to make sure that we met the standards with DCJS.
right.
You know, under my leadership, we're not just signing the paper to say we did something. Not under me. Because signing the paper will get you sued if they're not properly trained.
That part.
So under my leadership, I wanted to make sure that we met the standards of DCJS, that we have full-time FTOs who are training our people who come out of the academy to make sure they know and do what they're supposed to be doing. And we're not violating people's rights.
And so FTO is field training officer.
So
correct?
field training officers. And so we realized that we needed those field training officers. And so a shout out to Chief Booth and his leadership over at PD for allowing us to work together collaboratively to make sure
Absolutely.
that the men and women of our agency is in a position where they can train well, work together as a city. We can't say that we're 8-time All-American city if we can't work together.
Absolutely.
And so that's what makes us
Collaboration.
great is because we are united together as one. And so when he called, we respond because collaboration is the key. And
Yep.
so a huge shout out to Captain Combs, Lieutenant Palmer, and Sergeant Young, those individuals who work in our schools. Let me tell you, under my leadership, when I was at SRO, we had 17 schools. We had 9 SROs. Since being the sheriff, I heard the ask of the city of Roanoke from Roanoke City Public Schools. And so now I can say that all 17 schools and 17 elementary schools are now filled with a full-time SRO.
Yep.
And so again, thank you to our great partners at Roanoke City Public Schools, those individuals who help us go after the grants to
Yep.
make sure that we can supplement the city schools and making sure that we meet the budget for those SROs. Thank you to state government who allow those grants to be available so that way we can keep our kids safe in the school. So thank you to them. That's our report.
That's a lot.
It is. So let me just say, on behalf of the executive team, Colonel Young, Lieutenant Colonel Williams, and myself, our chief of staff, we could not do what we do without the support of our team. And so our command staff who show up every day to make sure that every unit in our organization is operating with excellence. Let me just say this, we're not perfect. The agency is not perfect.
Right.
I don't think it's been perfect since I've been here 16 years. It hasn't been perfect in 16 years. And it's not perfect under my leadership, but we're committed to
Right.
making things excellent.
Right.
And working with excellent people, it takes time to get things right. Best practices and things in place to make sure where if we see a deficiency, we fix it.
Absolutely.
One thing you hear me always say, you'll never hear my mouth unless you don't do what you're supposed to do.
I will say
I like things done
you
with
do.
excellence.
You do.
And if we're going to do something once, the next time we do it again,
Make it better.
we have to make it better.
That's right.
I think our employees deserve better.
Mhm.
I think our residents and our custody deserve better. I think our community at large deserves better. And the way they get better is having a better staff who is willing to show up day in and day out with their capes on, because we're superheroes. We show up every day to make things happen. It's difficult. And what we do in our organization, it is work, right? It's not easy. It's not, this correctional work, law enforcement work is not easy. But when you find people who appreciate what they do, it makes it better. And I am forever grateful and indebted to those who work for our agency. I cannot do sheriff work without them. And so on behalf of our executive staff, our command staff, the men and women who work for our agency, thank you for working with us on this annual report to put it together. Without our team, this report would not be great.
Absolutely.
And let me just say publicly, Tamika, thank you for holding us together. I know you wear a lot of hats here at the agency. You work on the annual report. They send you the information. But thank you for putting it all together for our agency. You make it look good. You make me look good as the sheriff. But I know I got to give you something to work with. I know I gotta give you something to work with, but I appreciate people and our team always willingness to work over, step up to the plate when they have to, and support me as the sheriff. I cannot do this alone, and I am forever grateful for those individuals. This is the year that we move forward, and moving forward means that everybody has to work together collectively for the betterment of our agency, the betterment of our community at large, so that we can be great. And because of that, and because of the men and women who work for the Roanoke City Sheriff's Office, we are an 8-time All-American city. Thank you again for your support, and we do it better when we do it together. Thank you again.